conversation. I was on a call with a financial advisor. He's been in the business for quite a while. Got a great book of business, and we were just kind of talking about some challenges that he was facing, and then we were talking about the database, and I was talking about connects, and he was doing a great job of making connections with his database on throughout the year. But then we started talking about understanding, having the database sorted. And it was just interesting because it kind of led to a conversation of like, really, he said, no, I don't really, have it sorted really by anything. So he was pretty much treating all of his clients, everyone in his database, his sphere, as well, all pretty much the same, as they all have the same value, to his business. And so what I was sharing with him is that really is to understand, inside of our database, that having our clients sorted by the value that they bring the business is hugely important. And here's the thing, don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that, that people don't have value. Everyone has value as people. The issue that we run into is that a lot of times is that we don't understand the value that they bring to our business. And therefore, when we don't do that, we don't sort them and then be able to communicate them at different levels. And so what I'm going to do, it made me think about this. And so I always find when one person, has that challenge, there are multiple others that have this, the same thing. And I know early on in my career, I came out of the real estate world, is just, had people in the database, and basically as everybody got the same stuff and we connected, the same with everyone, until I learned this important piece of making sure that we are sorting our database by the value that folks bring to the business. And so I want to share that with you. And for those of you that, you may be watching this the first time, for those of you that don't know who I am, and you found this video either on YouTube or on Facebook, I'm Bill Utenage. I own Damascus Road Coaching and Consulting. And what I do is I help service-based providers just like you grow their business by helping them grow their referrals. And I've been doing that, been in this owned and operated service-based businesses now for, well, longer than I would like to admit, 33 years now. And so helping, doing it, on a day-to-day basis, and stepping out of my real estate business about 3 years ago. And what I do full-time now is just help other service providers learn what I'm teaching and help them to maximize their referrals, because inside of our business, there are a ton of untapped referrals of what I share. So anyhow, want to just share that with you. So here's the thing. And what I always do in when I'm teaching something is I want to make it, I want to make it simple, because then it can get implemented. And so when we start talking about our database, in sorting the database, is we want to really put those people into 3 different buckets or 3 different categories. And the first one, what I always look at is, okay, are my A clients? And the A clients are going to be those are our advocates. Those are going to be our best clients. And those are the people that are doing business with us multiple times a year. Now, if you are in, insurance or financial services, that's going to be a little bit different, because if they're a past client in either insurance or financial services, they may have probably gone somewhere else. So inside of that world, what I always look at is like, who are those people that are referring you multiple times a year? So really, 2 times or more a year, if they're referring you business. Okay. If you're in the real estate or in the mortgage world, is different, because it's kind of a one shot type of a deal, meaning is that someone's going to buy and then they may not buy again for several years, or refinance. If you're in the mortgage world, then they buy, and they may be investors, and they may be, buy multiple, do multiple deals with you a year. So what I'm looking for is anyone that's referring, or they're doing business with us, depending on what industry you're out of, 2 or more times a year. Okay. Those are going to be what we're going to call our A clients. Now you can call them 5-star, whatever you want to do. I always want to keep it simple and to be able just to know, hey, these are who my A clients are. And then the second group is going to be, those are our Bs. And so Bs are going to be really, those are going to be our current clients, right? So anyone that actually has ever done business with us, or have at least referred us once. Okay. Now, the reason that I share this, like so all of our current clients. Now, your current clients could be an A. So this is everyone that's outside of the A. And I put together my basically my playbook on breaking all this down. And if you want, I'll give this to you for free. Just drop a comment in down below, depending on where you're watching this, and I'll just shoot this over to you. I'm not going to ask you for your email or anything. Just my way of just kind of helping you have this framework so you can start implementing that. So we've got the current clients, and then anyone that's referred, because I know in my real estate business, I had people that would refer me that never did business with me. And those may be something, those would be people like where I was living in Champaign, Illinois, University of Illinois was there, and it's still there, I guess. And I live in South Florida now, is that we were connected with different colleges inside of the university. And so we would have people refer us that never did business with us, that we had built relationships with these people. And so different companies through their HR departments and those kind of things that never did business with us, but referred us. And so those sometimes are, I think, the people that we forget to as well, because they don't necessarily have to be a client, because they can refer us, and we want to stay in contact with those people because obviously they are sending us business because of a relationship that we have with them, right? So our A's are 2 times or more a year. Those are going to be our advocates. That's going to be typically a smaller group. And then you're going to have your B's inside of here. And then the third one is going to be our C's. And these are these are our Mets, right? And what a Met is that people that we have met, that we've had a conversation with. They know us, we know them. For example, it may be somebody that we met at some a networking event, some event that you may have hosted and put on, where we've had a conversation, and then they are inside of our database. Now, they haven't referred us and they haven't done business with us. So this inside of our database is that we should have everyone inside of our database categorized into one of these 3 categories. I kind of use an accounting analogy inside of this, is that, early on when I hired my first accountant and I'm given my information, I had a lot of other accounts, right? I had he was like, well, what's this miscellaneous account or this other account? Well, there's where I didn't really know, where to put it. Well, he's like, here's the thing. Every dollar that you have needs to go into a named account. I'm like, wow. So same thing inside of our database is that these are really the 3 categories. And if you have somebody inside of your database where, and it may be that you've generated, online, or you've bought a mailing list or whatever the case may be, and you don't have they don't know you, right? You don't really know them. You may have just bought this. I'm just going to tell you, is not that you can't do that, but this system is designed for people, right, that we have had a conversation with. Now, we may not know them at a high level. Now, these people we should, right, our A's and our B's, because they're either they've been a client of ours, or they're or a current client of ours, or they have referred us. And the same thing with our Mets is that we've had a conversation with them. So we want to make sure inside of our database that that's what we've got. We're not got hundreds, because I've talked to people, they go, how many people in your database? And they'll go, oh, I got 5,000 people in there. I'm like, really? Where did you get that? Well, I had a mailing list or this, whatever. I'm like, okay, so let's bring that down, because what we want to do is as we're connecting with these people, we're not cold calling them. We're having conversations with them. It's the know, like, and trust factor, okay, inside of all this. And so I share this with you is because it was kind of, when we were having this conversation with the financial advisor that I was talking with yesterday, and it's like, it was kind of like an aha moment where it's just like, that makes complete sense. Because the other thing, once we do this, is then what we can do is we look at this and kind of go, okay, who should I be spending the most time with in my business? Well, probably if I'm going to look at this and I'm going to prioritize, right? This is what we call them A, B's, and C's, is these are my A's, because these are people, again, this is probably going to be probably less than 10% of your database, to be honest with you. It just is. This is probably going to be probably your bigger, the B's are probably your bigger than your C's. And so this 10% of these people are your, like I said, are your advocates. These are the people have already raised their hand. They're like, hey, we love you. We're doing business with you. We're referring our friends and family to you. This is why we want to stay in contact with those people on a more regular basis. So when we're looking at our activities that we're doing, okay, on a daily basis, it's like understanding is like, hey, do I need to be in more contact with this A's or with these C's? Okay. It's not a trick question. It's the A's. Now, the thing about it is that we are always looking at like, how do I move people up through this? It's almost, kind of like a reverse funnel, so to speak, because we have these people, at the bottom here, that these are the people that don't know us as well. How do we ascend them, right, up to where we can get them, right? So we bring them value. And I talk about this in my client engagement system of having like knowing what I'm going to send, sending items of value to them, bringing value to them, being in conversation with them. Okay. And then what we do is then we build that, maybe move that relationship up to where they're like, hey, they do business with you. And then guess what? Then they move from a C, then they move to a B. Why? Because they've either done business with you or they've referred you to someone, right? Different levels. So I'm going to spend more time with my B's than I am with my C's, because I would love then to move who in my B category can I move up to an A. And sometimes it's just, again, once we do this, because the challenge, what happens, and I see this so often again, and I say, I have been there, is just having a database full of people. And then we're just blanketly less like going, I'm just going to send, a bunch of emails to them, or I may call them, probably not, maybe once, whatever, maybe once a year or whatever. I'm going to send them a Christmas card, that kind of thing. And so that's where the challenge, because you have people inside of your database that have already like said it. I'm like, hey, we love you, Bill, because we refer you on a regular basis, that that they're advocates. They at a party, if someone hears about a mortgage, then someone needing a mortgage, they're the ones that are sprinting across the room like, hey, you got to use Joni for this, or so this is where I think a lot of times we're really just we're missing that piece of it. And so that's why I created the playbook for going over this, and it goes into it in more detail. But I just wanted you just to kind of see what this looks like. And if you don't have this inside of your database, inside of your business, I'm going to encourage you, right, to do that, to get this checklist and start going through your database and getting this sorted, right? The next step inside of that is what I call then is qualifying the people to make sure that you're still the go-to person, inside of that. But first thing you have to do is you've got to get this thing sorted. That way, so where you need to be spending your time. Okay. We can make more time, but we can't make more money. And so if we're working smarter instead of harder and getting these things done, I will just tell you, it was a game changer for my business when I understood that and cleaned that up. And then the other thing is, talking about our databases, then we want to be adding to that, right? So that's why we're out having conversations with people, knowing how to ask to get people into your database. And so all of those things. But I wanted to share this today because it's just, it's sometimes I take it for granted. I teach this. And so I've done this. So over the years and sometimes it's the simple things that we just kind of forget, or it just may not have ever been exposed to that, to understand the importance of getting this database, get it sorted, and understanding, because there's tons of referrals setting in your database. And so, and I get it, it can be overwhelming, but the good news is that you only really, now that you have this criteria, what you want to do is you just want to get into your database, and basically you're just going to go through line item by line item. Yes, it's going to take a little bit of time in the beginning, but you only got to do it once. And then everyone new that you put in, they're just going to go into one of these three categories. It's simple. So if you meet someone at a networking event or somewhere and you have a conversation, you've used a referral, you use the database ad script, and you add them to it, then they're a C. Now you know where they're at. right? Everybody's in a category. So I can just look through there. And then depending on your CRM is then you can just sort all of those like, hey, who are all my A's? Because I want to do this for them, my B's, my C's. And it just takes so much like stress off of like, who am I going to contact? How often should I be, should I be contacting them? And so I just want you to grab this. Again, I can't stress it enough. It's pretty simple. It's like 2.5 pages, right? And it just breaks down everything, kind of what I did here, into a little bit more detail. So just drop me a line down below. I'll shoot it over to you in Messenger. Not going to try to sell you anything. I'll just give it to you, and hopefully you'll implement that and start using it and start seeing the change in your business. So that's what I've got for you in today's video. Hey, thanks for watching this, and have a great rest of your day. And